Some of you may have noticed that I have a tendency to say player or to say fan instead of saying customer. Recently, I got this comment on a video, and I want to talk about this and talk about why I make the choices that I make, but why the person making this comment also has some points. First off, I say player or fan very deliberately. This is something that I make an effort to do. I actually avoid using the word customer. I slip up from time to time, but for the most part, I steer away from that word and steer towards words like player. And this is very intentional. From a dev perspective, which has been the focus of my work for over 25 years now, I want the team to be thinking of the people who are going to play the game as players, not as customers. And why is that? It is simply because it influences the way they think about these people. When you are thinking about the people playing your game as players, then you are making decisions to serve them as players. You are making decisions to improve the quality of their gameplay experience. On the flip side, if you are thinking of your potential players first and foremost as customers, that can lead to a different way of thinking. It can cause you to prioritize the monetization of those people over the gameplay experience of those people. When we look at the way that a lot of live services are run, they are run with this mindset, with the goal of extracting as much money as possible from the person or people playing their game, potentially stretching out the experience to cause people to play longer, to give them more opportunities to spend money, locking things behind paywalls, flattening progression curves in order to encourage people to spend money. These are decisions made in the service of the monetization of the game as opposed to the gameplay of the game. And there are cases, especially in the case of live services, where that is a choice you're going to have to make. You are going to have to balance these things. This is a business. Your video game studio is not a charity. So you have to make money in some manner. But by turning the people who play your game into a customer first and a player second, or possibly not at all, what you're doing is inverting what I think is a healthy interaction with those people. Now, I'm going to put a giant but up here and say that I think that the person who posted this comment has a point, but they may be applying it to the wrong group of people. I believe that the people making the games, you want them to be thinking of you as players, as fans, making decisions around what a player wants, what a fan would want, as opposed to starting with customer. But as you buying the game, I think you need to keep in mind that you are a customer, that you are serving as a source of revenue for the companies that are selling you their games. And as such, you should keep that in mind in your interaction with those companies. Like this commenter says, customers have rights. You have a certain amount of legal rights as someone purchasing a product or purchasing a service. And while I would argue that if we are reaching the point of having to fall back on legal protections, things have gone terribly wrong, it's good to keep in mind that you do have certain protections as a customer. For the game purchasing public, I think it's actually quite valuable for them to think of themselves as customers. And then after that, after considering the monetary impact that this experience is going to have upon them, then considering themselves as a player or a fan. So while I do not agree with this commenter, they did give me a lot to think about. They did make me consider exactly why I use the language choices I use and why I stand behind them, why I still consider them to be the correct choices, why I think what we experience in the game buying community right now is an inversion of what I just said. Companies are treating you as customers first, treating you as sources of revenue first, while you, in a lot of cases, are treating yourselves as players or fans first and letting your rights as a customer fall to the wayside, allowing yourselves to be exploited in some cases because companies are not considering you a player and are trying to extract as much money from you as possible. If we invert those two considerations, if companies think of you as players or fans first, and if you think of yourself as a customer first, I think we end up in a much healthier place. So I'm going to continue using player and fan to mostly the exclusion of customer, except in extreme cases when I'm actually specifically talking about the business as opposed to about the games. I'll continue to slip up as I have, but I would like to thank this commenter for their comment because it did serve a very valuable purpose for me. It did make me think about this and it made me consider both sides of this and make this video. So if you found this video interesting, maybe I'll do some more deep dives on some of the comments I get on my videos. In closing, I just want to ask that you don't go tracking this commenter down. As I said, this was a useful comment for me, and while I don't agree with it, I do think it was useful to interrogate my own thinking on this topic, and it led to this video. A special thanks to my members. They provide the resources that this channel needs to keep running. If you're interested in becoming a member, there's a link to that down below this video. As well, we have a Patreon if you are more comfortable with that. If you are looking for another way to support the channel, we have merch. This is if you're doing triage and you should be doing triage. That will be tagged in the video as well. If you're interested in leaving a super thanks, also much appreciated. What are some other things that I say that seem weird to you that you would be interested in me digging in on my thinking on that? Some of them are probably just random idiosyncrasies, but a lot of the language I use is intentional, and I have thought about the reasons why I say the things that I say, and often it's with good reason. If you're interested in me digging in on something else, put a comment down below, and we'll see what we can do, and we'll see how well this video does. I will see you again soon. Thank you.